Hi friends, I'm Walker and welcome back to Olive Ab Nails, where we talk about vegan and cruelty-free nail polish. Today I am talking about the Whatever Forever collection from Color Club, and just look at these colors. They are so bright. This is a collection of neon pastel creams from Color Club. They released this collection earlier in 2019, I think maybe like the beginning of March. This collection has 12 creams. I am not holding them all because my hands are not that big. And we're gonna dive in and do some live swatches, and then we'll come back at the end and I'll tell you which ones were my favorites. First up is First Class Sass, and this is one that I mentioned in my spring picks video. I really like this color. It is almost like a kind of super muted but also bright creamsicle color. I really like how much white is in here. This one is pretty patchy on the first coat, which a lot of these polishes are going to have this on the first coat where they're a little bit patchy and streaky, but honestly the formula is pretty good. Like, it's not too thick, it doesn't kind of pool around the edges, and it's streaky, but it's a pretty even coat, if that makes sense. I also really like the color on this one. Like I said, it has just like a little bit of orange that kind of peeks out, but it's also pretty white and really pastel. On the second coat, this does get pretty much to opacity. I think if you have longer nails or you do thinner coats, this one you might need a third coat on, but these ones that have more of a kind of intense white base, I actually found to have a pretty good formula in this, and for the most part got them opaque in 2 coats. So you're looking at 2 coats of First Class Sass. All right, and we are going to do these in rainbow order, so we're just going to get a little bit brighter orange here. This one is called Talk to the Hand, and I think the color on camera on this one is coming out a little bit more almost like nacho cheesy. In real life, this one was really hard to capture, but it's a little bit more of a kind of intense, like deeper orange color. It is super neon, but I do think we're getting a little bit more like macaroni cheese on camera than in real life. This one has a very similar formula to the last polish that we swatched, where this first coat is a little bit streaky. It's going on, you know, maybe almost a little bit chalky on the first coat, but on the second coat here, it is going to build all the way up to opacity. My swatch photo shows this in 2 coats. What I do think is really awesome about a lot of these polishes is that this is not over a white base, right? This is just the color, the way that it comes off, the way that it builds up in 2 coats. And so even though, you know, these polishes are super bright, this one especially, they do build up on their own, I think, pretty well. And so again, this is 2 coats of Talk to the Hand. All right, and next up we have Like a Boss, which in my mind is the epitome of a neon pastel. This one is this really vibrant yellow that is definitely pastel and also definitely neon, right? This one is like really washed out and has a lot of white in it, but it is a very bright yellow. It's not quite a highlighter yellow, we're gonna get to that polish, but this one is almost like glow in the dark yellow, right? It's got a little bit of like a green undertone to it, and this one was surprising to me how much I liked it, but I do think the formula here is really good. You know, that first coat, as you can see, is a little bit streaky and patchy like the first 2 that we looked at, but in 2 coats, this one builds up completely to opacity. It is super smooth and super vibrant, and I really appreciate how even on that first coat, you're getting a really intense wash of color, even though it's a little bit streaky and patchy. So I'm pretty happy with the formula on this one, and this again is 2 coats of Like a Boss. Next up is Anything But Basic, and I really like the names in this collection. I feel like they're very thematic with the, you know, Whatever Forever collection title. However, they are so hard to remember because they are all basically the exact same name. So this one is Anything But Basic, and it is getting just like a little bit greener from the last polish that we looked at. And then after this, we're gonna look at one that's much, much greener. This one has a very similar formula to the last ones that we've looked at. It has a very white base, and so, you know, that first coat has a really nice wash of color, but it does have some patchiness to it. Again, it goes on really evenly. Like, I'm not having any issues with pooling with this one, which I really appreciate. The second coat does get us all the way to opacity on this one as well. This one I think is coming across on camera a little bit more washed out than it is. It's coming across a little bit deeper in that white base, but it is pretty close. It's that really nice kind of balance between yellow and green. And so this is 2 coats of Anything But Basic. All right, and now we are at our bright lime neon green. This one is called It's All in the Attitude, which this one is pretty true to color on screen. It is a super bright neon green. This one I think is like fabulously perfect for the spring. It's almost like mint if you like turn the volume all the way up on a like really nice mint polish. This one has a very similar formula to the last few. This first coat is streaky, a little bit patchy, but my second coat will bring us all the way up to opacity. This is another one that I'm really impressed by the coverage that you get without needing, you know, any sort of white base coat or anything like that. This is just 2 coats out of the bottle. And this polish, for some reason, felt like it had a slightly thicker formula than the other ones. I don't know why that is, or if it's just that, you know, I was like losing my mind a little bit swatching all of these neon polishes, but this one did feel a little bit thicker, but you are looking at 2 coats of It's All in the Attitude. Okay, and now we're getting into the blues in this collection, and I'm just going to tell you they're all beautiful and I love them, which is not a surprise. This first one is called I'm Outta Here, and this one is almost like a neon Tiffany blue. This one is like super bright, and I think maybe you can tell here the base feels like it has a little bit less white in it, so it's a little bit more watery, it's a little bit more sheer, so you're getting, I think, a little bit more pooling in this one than we did in the first ones. But again, a second coat is going to bring us all the way up to opacity on this one as well, so that first coat kind of made me a little wary, but the second coat did come on nice and opaque, nice and smooth. I would say that this one is almost a little bit more glossy of a finish than the other ones. I would definitely wear top coat over most of these, but this one was pretty glossy, and so I think you could get away with just 2 coats of this one if you wanted to. And I don't know, I think like Robin's Egg or Tiffany Blue feels like the right description here. So you're looking at 2 coats of I'm Outta Here. Another blue we have next, Take a Chill Pill, and this one again has a little bit of a kind of sheerer formula. It's a little bit thinner, but I didn't have any issues with pooling on this one, didn't have any issues with running on this one. None of these blues that we're swatching today stained me at all, so they were fine in that regard. This one is very similar to the last one I looked at. It's a little bit sheer on the first coat, so I am getting, you know, those patchy streaky places, and kind of the more that I went in to try and fix it, the more streaky it got, so I just had to like leave the first coat and then come in for my second coat. And as you can see here, my second coat is bringing us all the way up to opacity. Again, like kind of surprising to me given how the first coat behaved, but I'm really happy with this second coat. This one is like a frostier blue. It's really bright, but I don't know that I would call any of the blues in this collection neon necessarily, but they are really pretty. So you are looking at 2 coats of Take a Chill Pill. Next is the last blue in this collection, and also the most pastel blue in this collection. This one is called Get Lost, and this one has a super sheer kind of watery formula. This one's pretty different from the other ones that we've looked at so far. There's another one coming up that's reminiscent of this, but this one is very sheer, like I said, pretty watery. This one did kind of want to pool around my cuticles, and so there are still those kind of bare streaky spots you can see, but it was definitely a little bit thinner. You do get a really pretty color with this one, and so you can see it's this really frosted out, kind of grayed out blue that is still a little bit bright and vibrant. I do really like the color on this one, and my second coat is bringing us up to opacity, which is shocking to me, but somehow it is. Again, if you have longer nails, you might need a third coat with this one, but I found that the second coat actually went on like pretty smoothly and wasn't too hard to get opaque. This one, again, is Get Lost, and you are looking at 2 coats. All right, we have 4 more polishes. This first purple is Can You Not? And this one has a super similar formula to the one that we just looked at, the blue one, where it's a little bit more watery and a little bit more sheer on this first coat. I think you can just tell that there's a lot less white in these polishes, so it doesn't quite have that creamy base that some of the like yellows and greens that we looked at did. So this one on the first coat is kind of streaky, and I think you can see it's just like pooling a little bit more because it is a little bit thinner. I'm gonna come in for a second coat on this one, obviously, and again, I'm really impressed with how the second coat builds up on this polish. It really does give us a nice, smooth, pretty glossy coat of color. So this is another one that dries a little bit more glossy without top coat, and so I think you could just wear this one in 2 coats if you wanted to. And so you are looking at 2 pretty glossy coats of Can You Not? This next one is Girl Gang, but reading this label makes me feel like I am at the eye doctor. Like, is that a D or a G? On the Color Club website, it is listed as Girl Gang with a G, so I think my bottle just has a typo. And I would describe this polish as like a Barbie pink with the volume turned all the way up. It's super bright. I think what you're seeing on screen is really color accurate to what it looks like in real life. And this one has a formula that is very familiar to us by now, that we are, 9 polishes into this collection. It is pretty opaque with a little bit of streakiness on the first coat. This one I did not have the kind of running and pooling issues with by any means. That first coat was pretty easy to apply. My second coat is going on nice and opaque. It's smoothing out all of those patchy spots and really giving us a nice finish here. This one, it looks just like a tad purple, I think, when you get it built all the way up to opacity, but it is a really nice kind of soft pink color, and so you are looking at 2 coats of Girl Gang. Next up, we are staying in the pink family, but getting a little bit more pastel. This one is called Totally Worth It, and this one has a very similar formula to Get Lost, which was the super pastel blue polish that we looked at a few minutes ago. So this one on this first coat is coming in pretty watery. It is having not quite the same issues with pooling that Get Lost was, but it is pretty sheer. And so when I did my swatch photos, this was the only polish in this collection that took 3 coats. And I think you can see on my second coat here, it's still just not quite evening out as well as it should. And so I still have some kind of patchy spots. And again, if I go in and try and manipulate those spots, I just kind of create patches in other places. And so I am definitely going to need to go in for a 3rd coat of this one, which kind of surprised me. It surprised me that this one was the most sheer of the bunch, but we're going to go in for this 3rd coat, and the 3rd coat will definitely smooth everything out. It makes it really nice and opaque and glossy. And I do like this color. It feels not super unique to me. It's kind of a bright pink, but there's not anything extra here. Like, it doesn't feel super neon. It's a nice pastel pink, but it's 3 coats, so I don't know. This one feels kind of like a letdown to me, but you are looking at 3 coats of Totally Worth It. All right, our last polish is this super hot pink. This one is almost a little bit corally, but it's definitely a pink leaning coral. This one is called Get It Girl. This is probably my favorite name, but like I said, they're all kind of the same name, so hard to have a favorite, but I do like Get It Girl. This one has a formula that we've definitely seen before. It's really nice, it's giving us a little bit of streaks on that first coat, but I think this one, again, has a little bit more of a white base in it. It's a little bit creamier, and so on this second coat, we are definitely going to get all the way out to opacity. I really like this one because it feels like it kind of embodies this idea of neon pastel. Like, it is super bright, but the amount of white in this polish really does give it that kind of pastel feel, which I think is really interesting. What you're seeing on camera is pretty similar to real life. I would say it's almost a little bit deeper of a pink in real life, like just a hair. I think the neon kind of blows out the camera a little bit in this one, even though I turned my settings way down. But you are looking at 2 coats of Get It Girl. Okay, awesome. So that's all 12 polishes. I want to tell you a little bit about the 4 that were my favorites. The first one is one that I actually included in my spring picks video. This is First Class Sass, and this is this kind of like muted creamsicle color. I'm impressed by how muted yet also bright this one is at the same time. So I really liked First Class Sass. I also really liked this kind of muted blue. This one, I don't know, it's more of a pastel blue to me. I don't see a lot of the neon in here, but I did really like this one, and I will definitely wear it because it is this really nice, like, chalky, muted out blue, and this is Get Lost. And then I also really like the brighter blue. This is Take a Chill Pill. This one is definitely more of a kind of neon leaning color in my opinion, but it had a pretty good formula. It's a really lovely color, and so I will definitely be wearing this one. Again, this is Take a Chill Pill. Okay, and then this one surprised me. I usually don't like these kind of pink colors, but something about the pastelness in this one really made it feel super wearable on my skin, and this one was just really lovely to apply. This one is called Girl Gang. Okay, awesome. Let me know down below which of these was your favorite, or if you picked any of these up or you picked up the whole collection, let me know what you think of them so far. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to hang out with you the next time that we sit down to chat about nail polish. Bye.